So I've just been doing a mental calculation, which is in effect using functional skills in maths at level 1. So whether you are checking your change, writing a letter, or trying to put your holiday snaps into an online photo album, you're using functional skills. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks. England is in the middle of a 3-year pilot period for the QCA's new functional skills qualifications. Since September 2008, they've been part of the Key Stage 3 and the new diploma curriculum. And from 2010, they'll be part of GCSEs. They cover practical skills in English, maths and ICT for all learners aged 14 and above.
Well, the functional skills are core skills in English, maths and ICT, put very simply, with the ability of young people to apply those skills in different contexts. It's just incredibly simple. All young people need them. We all need them. Adults need them too. But we need to ensure that young people are leaving school with the functional skills that will enable them to succeed in their future lives.
Achieving functional skills at level 2 in maths, English and ICT will be required for students getting the new diplomas at advanced or higher level. The government had also hoped to make it a requirement for GCSEs at grade C or above in the related subjects. But for now it's been decided not to make that link, although ministers hope that as many young people as possible will take the freestanding functional skills tests.
I think functional skills are for all young people. I don't think you can differentiate. Young people who are high achievers on GCSEs need to, have functional skills. They can acquire them as part of their programme of study and undertaking their GCSE programme, but you need to test that functionality through the functional skills assessment. In other words, they need to have opportunities to apply those.
Functional skills, in a sense, are a barometer of the need in our system for young people to have quite practical ways of going about things, being able to solve particular problems, having basic literacies. And they are a reflection of the fact that people say they don't get it in secondary education, or certain young people don't get it in secondary education. And therefore, in a sense, functional skills are a criticism of what hasn't taken place. They're a criticism of an absence in secondary education. So I actually think that it's better to think about this not simply as a kind of an initiative, but something that is deeply needed and something that has been troublingly, kind of worryingly missing inside our system, particularly as the system seeks to involve 100% of young people.
In the revised secondary curriculum, there are functional skills included within all of the subject areas. So it is expected really that all teachers in their teaching would make a contribution to that. So although they may not be responsible for the specific test that students take at the end, they would be expected to be aware of how the functional skills fit into their own subject.
It's how the learner applies their functional skills that counts. The level of qualification is determined by the complexity and technical demand of the activity. Familiarity with the task and the learner's independence also matter. We'll look at each subject, starting with maths. Functional maths teaches pupils to apply the maths they've learned to everyday situations. Realising how the use of maths can help solve a real-life problem is called representing. For example, choosing a mobile phone. Processing maths to find results and solutions is called analysing, perhaps a spreadsheet to compare tariffs. And using results to draw conclusions and communicate them to others is interpreting, which results in the best deal. Here at Connaught School for Girls in East London, they've been involved in delivering functional skills as part of diploma courses. So what changes has it made to their teaching? Let's go and find out.
It's not like school, it's really, really different. You're more independent, you're more treated like an adult.
As a group, there's only like 5-6 people, and like we're all learning, we're all discussing and writing at the same time.
There's many models for delivering functional skills, from the blended across to the discrete end of the spectrum, and I think really a mixture of those would be the best ideal way to deliver functional skills. Staff think it's additional work. I mean, ideally, they should be teaching the English, Maths and ICT curriculum in context, but to teach the problem-solving skills would take a bit longer, a bit more experience.
In maths, yeah, we just learn about, fractions, algebra and stuff like that, whereas in functional skills, we actually get like word problems and we have to solve them ourselves.
It's got problems in it, like real-life problems and like school-type problems, and it's more interesting, and that's why I think it's better than the school problems.
Most of the problems they see in school have got some structure to them, some of the questions they've seen. So when you take away all that scaffolding and you just give them quite an unfamiliar problem, maybe in a context they're not used to, where they've got to be quite independent workers, I think it was quite a step for the children.
There's this one question about Blackpool Tower, where you have to find the distance from some place to Blackpool Tower. We also had to find out how tall it was and the area. That was quite challenging, and I didn't get much help. In the end I actually got it.
Teachers want their students to pass the tests, whether it's functional skills, GCSE or whatever, and so they will work hard to prepare the students for those functional skills tests. So if that improves their problem-solving skills, I think that's a good thing. I mean, my only hesitation is, why do we have a separate set of examinations? Because we're in quite an exam culture, that if there were weaknesses in the GCSE models in English, Maths and ICT, why wasn't it implemented into those three subjects rather than introduce additional examinations?
You do have too many exams, but it actually pushes you to do harder.
You don't want to fail functional skills, because then you fail the whole diploma, and it's sort of like it pushes you, and like if you really want to pass, then like you have to pass your functional skills. So.
Now let's look at Functional Skills English at Level 2. Functional English calls for communication and understanding across 3 areas: speaking and listening, reading and writing. In Level 2, that means contributing to discussions and making effective presentations, selecting and summarising texts from different sources, using a range of different writing styles, and using spelling, punctuation and grammar so meaning is clear. To understand why there's such an emphasis on functional skills, we have to go back to 2005, when 14 to 19 policy highlighted teenagers' lack of basic skills. It was something employers, particularly the CBI, had been campaigning on.
What businesses are saying is they don't expect young people to come out of school ready to do a particular job, but they want that broad preparation for employment. I think if you look at what school education is there to do, it's to broadly prepare you for adult life, and a key part of that is going to be work for the vast majority of people.
As you probably know, there's been several different methods tried out for assessing functional skills. Does the CBI have a view of which is the best one?
I think business's priority has got to be get this right first up. I think it's a new qualification. Let's make sure it's delivered in the right way. In the long term, I think businesses would like to see it as a hurdle within the GCSE qualification. They want to ensure that a C in English and Maths at GCSE is seen as a good standard for functional literacy and functional numeracy. So I think in the long term, yes, we would want to see it as part of the GCSE.
To a certain extent, I think the response to the functional skills tests is more something to appease a media debate than actually of educational value. It's to be able to point to results and say, well, we can demonstrate that young people are literate and numerate. In fact, you can demonstrate that through all the subject areas that they do. You can check if they can spell, if they can use grammar. You can check if they can use their numeracy skills. So I'm not sure that there's huge educational benefit to it, but I think it is about trying to make the system more accountable externally.
So what does Level 2 look like in our final subject, ICT? It's using technology in a wide range of contexts, from home to employment. This means using a variety of ICT systems, from software to planning work and troubleshooting problems. Finding and selecting information, from newspapers to search engines, and using ICT to develop and share information, from text and tables to images and records.
Eventually, we would like to see the tests being online when ready tests, so that as soon as a student is ready for a particular level, they can be entered for it in a simple online assessment of the sort where you get the response, the result of that back quite quickly. I think what we've got to remember with these tests is that they are not designed to be to come out with a highly sophisticated result. They're a pass or fail.
It's now clear that actually the original proposal, which would require a level 2 in functional skills before you could get a grade C or above, is no longer the case. Why do you think that has changed, and is that going to cause any problems?
I know there are a lot of technical issues around the functional skill test being part of the GCSE, not least because you might want to enter a student for a functional skill test in year 9. By year 10 and 11 they might be in a different school, they might have moved house, they might be looking at a different awarding body. There would actually be a lot of administration around putting these various sections of the result together. So for examination officers it would probably make it a lot simpler to have 2 separate tests. Making it a part of the GCSE was a good way of ensuring that practically the entire population of young people took the test, and I think the government will need to find some way of ensuring that that happens.
What's the timeline for schools? September 2007, pilots in English, Maths and ICT functional skills began. July 2009, the QCA to provide reports based on the evaluation of the pilots. Autumn 2009, awarding bodies to provide specifications to schools for revised English, Maths and ICT GCSEs, including functional skills. January 2010, specification, mark schemes and specimen assessment materials become available. September 2010, the functional skills qualifications are rolled out.
I've interviewed too many young people at 16 who have missed out on all of this, who've lost their grip in the classroom. And once you lose your grip in the classroom, every lesson becomes a humiliation. And somehow they've got to be able to realise that they actually can do these things. And it's not just going to be done through functional skills testing. It's going to be done by embedding these skills in the things that young people actually know they can do. I remember one young lad said to me, you know, there's more to painting and decorating than meets the eye. And what he meant was, it wasn't just about slapping paint on. It was actually understanding some of the theories behind this. Or the lad who stuck his head inside the bonnet of a car and suddenly realised the need for mathematics.
There have been complaints about students' functional skills in English and Maths ever since the very first school exams were set by Cambridge University 150 years ago. Those complaints have also been a constant refrain from employers. But now there's a real incentive for change, because the functional skills qualification will be freestanding, worth half a GCSE, and what's more, it'll carry points towards school performance tables.